Well, good morning there, ladies and germs. Emphasis on ladies. I wanted to give y'all them rotors got rusty. I wanted to give you guys a quick overview of what we got for a cobbled together exhaust system so far. Starting up here, we have a pair of Speed Engineering S10 swap LS headers. These are the V-band collectors. I couldn't imagine building without V-bands in this installation. I wanted to keep the exhaust system in between the frame rails. I know some guys with Rangers will come out here and go outside the frame rails, but this actually turned out pretty good. This is all MIG welded pie cuts. I didn't bring a light with me. Hopefully you can see some of that up in there. That's the driver's side header, which gives great steering shaft clearance, but it points the collector directly at this ear of the front cross member. So I had to do some massive pie cuts to get this thing to point back towards the bell housing. And then drop down here where I made a crossover. This is all Amazon exhaust tubing. We crossed over to the passenger side, and then we can see the passenger side coming down. It's just a hockey stick shape. And before anybody comments on it, yes, I pretty much know that all of my O2 sensors are less than ideally placed because they have downhill in them, so we'll see if that truly shortens the life of them or not. So we come back to another mess of pie cuts to get over and above the transmission cross member here, and then directly into an X pipe. Now, having this X pipe on the passenger side is less than ideal because you have an unequal length feeding. You have an unequal length feeding the X pipe, but in this case, there's not really a lot that I can do about that. I didn't weld this up. I wanted a place where we could disassemble this for maintenance. And so you can take these clamps off, and then you can take each collector pipe off individually. The crappy part, though, to do that is you do have to lower the transmission cross member, but on a Ranger it's super easy. I already got some funny comments in the last driving video about how this thing sounded like it. Boy, I'm probably just making y'all seasick. I already got some funny comments in the last video that I showed of us driving it around, about how it sounded like a old farm truck and 2-inch exhaust and glass packs, and sounded like a Coke bottle with marbles rolling around in it, and then I should have put a Coyote motor in it. It was pretty funny. I don't take those kind of comments personally. But anyways, we got a pair of SpinTech Pro Street 6000 mufflers after the X pipe, hanging from the factory Ranger hangers. And then currently I just have some part store elbows on there as dumps. And that's primarily the main reason why it's so loud inside the cabin. I'm not sure yet what we're gonna do for tailpipes, but we'll figure that out sooner than later. Part of me wants to just go over the axle and do some like stealth dumps back by where the spare tire is at, instead of doing some super obvious, you know, kind of old style under the bumper stuff that's been so prevalent for a long time. I figured I better show you all the rest of the exhaust system now that it's finally done, so we can have a whole complete video. So I think where I stopped the video last time, I just had dumps at the back of the mufflers. And I have since finished the rest of the dual exhaust. One minor mistake that I did make was I had the mufflers too close to the frame rail, or this muffler. So I ended up just welding a urethane hanger on the bottom of the frame and then spanned it across both mid pipes. It really gave everything some stability, but still allows it to move a little bit, of course. So I bought a pair of pre-made, pre-bent, mandrel bent dual exhaust tailpipes off of eBay. They're very nice quality for the money. I think I paid $160 for them shipped. Boy, me and the welder were not getting along the other day. It's not enjoyable welding exhaust systems, and it's not enjoyable welding exhaust systems when you don't have a lift. Let's go to the back where we can see this better. Okay, now we can kind of see where we're coming from. We come up over the axle. Remember, this truck's lowered on a flip kit, so there's not a lot of room for the tailpipes between the axle. I have jumped it across the railroad tracks a few times, and I never heard anything banging or clanging, so that's good. You can see we got a little room there for the shock to the right-hand tailpipe. I ended up putting in a pair of very small resonators in each tailpipe. The Spintex sound really good, but quite honestly, it was pretty loud. My objective was to not piss off my neighbors, because I really like my neighbors and they put up with a lot of me and Isaac's crap. We already have a lot of noisy cars, so I think it still sounds really good even with these in here. Just toned it down just a little bit. These tailpipes, the pre-made tailpipes that I bought, are bent and configured so that you can do the traditional, like, out the back underneath the bumper. I don't really care for that look. I think it's kind of like played out from a long time ago, played out. So I ended up going with what I like, which is the more traditional kind of hot rod looking exit, where you come out by the quarter panel real steep and don't show everything that you got. We want it a little bit stealthy, kind of make people question what they're looking at. I couldn't be happier with the way that it turned out. It's very, very difficult, as many of you know, to build a dual exhaust and make it symmetrical. But I think I did about as good a job as I can with all the obstacles that are underneath of there. Show you the hangers. Got some really elaborate custom tailpipe hangers here. Wasn't a lot of room to keep it high, so I ended up kind of just cobble welding the hanger to the side of the frame and then put a brace on it right here. Hopefully you can see that. I know it's kind of dark. Always use the shortest rubber hanger that you can use. They're the most stable. Really keeps the exhaust from moving around. I do not ever build exhaust systems that wobble and flail around back here when you're going down the road. It looks terrible. So yeah, that's how I ended up with all that in there. Pretty much symmetrical design on this side. Obviously the tailpipes are routed slightly different left to right because we're coming down the right side of the chassis. But tried to keep it as symmetrical as possible and make it look pretty cool. I'm very happy with it. Let's go ahead and start it up so y'all can see what it sounds like. Then maybe we'll go out and do a quick little drive and some half throttle rips. I still don't have the big fuel pump in it yet. It's got the factory 4-banger Ranger fuel pump in the tank yet, so I'm a little hesitant to truly wide open throttle this thing, even with the wideband gauge. here. Been kind of farting around with some things on the tune. Been dealing with a scenario where it wants to almost stall in between shifts, but yet it'll go in and out of gear just fine. The joys of tuning. Gas it up for a second for my buddy Kyle back there. My gauges are fogging up. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Anyways, that's enough rambling on this one. Hopefully I'll throw in maybe some curbside shots or something to make this video just like super more awesomer and whatnot. But anyways, thanks for tuning in on how not to put in an exhaust system in a Ranger, and hope you all enjoyed it. See you on the next one.